Chicky DeMaine, aka Dabu.com, with your Dabu.com video surf forecast update. This surf forecast update brought to you by Salt Life Food Shack with 2 locations, Jacksonville Beach and Coral Springs. Coming soon, Stewart and St. Augustine. Get shacked at the Shack, Salt Life Food Shack. This forecast update effective around 9:30 Eastern Standard Time on Monday, August 26th. And guys, really excited about how this has all set up over the last couple of days. We've been watching for this front to drop down and create a northeast fetch. Started off the mid-Atlantic a couple of days ago to finish off the East Coast Surfing Championships up in Virginia Beach. But right now, the indicator buoys, the South Hatteras, Frying Pan Shoals, and the Paul West Bermuda buoy, all showing a nice northeast fetch stretched across it. The Paul West Bermuda buoy, the rule of thumb is that we need winds of 20 to 25 knots out of the northeast for 24 plus hours to create a nice northeast swell for East Florida. And the Paul West Bermuda buoy started blowing in northeast winds at about 20 knots about 5 o'clock yesterday. So we're going to be watching for that to see how long it'll hold as this front is forecast to die out and high pressure is forecast to fade. Okay, we know that all of the recent buzz has been about the most recent model run showing a hurricane out there in the Atlantic in about 4 or 5 days, but we're not going to focus over there yet. We're just not seeing or the potential for an uptick in tropical activity, even though the models have been suggesting that. It's a long ways out. We're going to stick a little bit closer to home and monitor this front and the next front coming over the next 3 to 4 days. And we're going to switch you over to the latest model runs to show you why. But we're going to be looking for some type of homegrown development either in the Gulf of Mexico or over off the southeast U.S. coast. Okay, so here's last night's run of the Canadian model, and this is for tomorrow, Tuesday. And as you can see, it leaves some troughiness just east of central Florida and move you into Tuesday afternoon, tomorrow afternoon. And as you can see, it moves it off towards the northeast, and it develops a little area of low pressure in here. So we're going to be watching this area for something that may try and spin up that could help enhance the surf conditions that we already have. As of right now, it does look like the wind swell will start to fade and become smaller over the next several days unless we can get something to develop east of Florida. Outside chance at it, but that's what we're going to be watching for. And also, if you look over here towards the Panhandle, there is another little small area of low pressure up here towards the Panhandle and the central Gulf of Mexico. So these are the places that we're going to be focusing on before we jump out over here towards Africa and what that might be offering up coming up towards Labor Day. Moving you into Wednesday now, and you can still see that it still leaves this just east of North Florida, northeast of the Bahamas. So again, this is the reason why we're going to be focusing in on a dying front and for something that may try to spin up along that dying front. Now moving you out towards the weekend on Saturday, and another backdoor front is forecast to drop down the mid-Atlantic. Unclear at the moment, but looking at the image, you can see how we've got low pressure draped across South Carolina and Georgia out in here towards the Atlantic. So we're going to be watching that as well for something that may try and spin up there. Now I'm going to move the camera a little bit just to give you an idea. On Saturday, the Canadian model is showing an area of low pressure, possible tropical storm, east of the islands on Saturday. Now, again, there's not a lot of confidence as far as what we're seeing out in the central Atlantic right now. Still a lot of dry air. The upper level conditions are not favorable or conducive for development at this time. And based on how these African waves have been moving off the coast and being squashed, we're not giving that a lot of confidence yet. Fast forward into Labor Day, Monday, September 2nd, and as you can see, the Canadian model now develops a hurricane out there east of the islands, but we also have an area of low pressure just east of North Florida and off the southeast U.S. coast. So those are the things we're going to be watching for, guys, coming up over the next week. So be sure to stay tuned for the next update.